Welcome back for part 6 of our series on the needle felting of the zebra Duiker. This is Natasha with Spirit Animals Art, and today we are working on the ears and parts of the face. So what I'm going to do first is we need to get a little bit of a nose built and a chin built and some cheeks and the ridges around the eyes, and we're going to put a little nose on, and we're going to do the ears. So we're going to start out again by making our triangle. This is just going to help build up the forehead a little bit and give us an idea of how far we want to go down with our nose. I didn't plan any of this ahead of time, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. Just keep looking at the reference photos, studying the shapes. It comes in really handy with the animal that you're making if you can find some videos so you can watch the movements and expressions. It's a little difficult to find any of the zebra Duiker. I did find a few of the different kinds of little antelopes. They're called Duikers. There's like a gray Duiker and a few other different little ones that are very similar to look of this one. Only minor differences, so it's good to watch those and just study and get a feel for your animal. There I am fiddling and fighting with the camera again. So next week's video should be much better once I get my good camera set up and the learning curve isn't quite so steep. Okay, so next I am using a toothpick, and I'm just rolling some wool around the toothpick because we're making little brow ridges. I had a little bit too much to begin with. You only need just fine little wisps. So I'm making 2 of those. I'm going to do the top first, testing to see that it's about the right size, and then I'll do the bottom ones. So next we're making the ears, and they have quite big ears, but you don't want to make your ears too thick because this is just a small little guy. So I'm getting little wisps of my fiber. I'm using the medium, the in-between two colors, and then I'm putting some of the buck at the top. And that'll kind of give a little darkness to the tip of it, and it'll blend down into the rest of the ear. Just give nice variations of color. So for the ear shape, you're going to make a triangle at the top and straight on the sides. And you're going to pull it over at the sides like we did the triangle, and then you're going to pull the straight sides over. Handy dandy punch tool to make the work go faster. And you could spend quite a bit of time perfecting these little ears. I kind of did a quick job here just to kind of see how I want to get things done, but you can get as detailed as you want. You can do an animal that is more of a looser expression, which is also very cute, or you can really, really get into lots and lots of detail. And I've been doing this a little over a year, and I just get better with every animal that I do because I learn something new, mainly from mistakes. You learn the most from your mistakes when you look back on a critter that you made 6 months ago or a year ago, and you want to, have another stab at it. You want to refine it in another way. That's when you know that you're getting better, because you see things you didn't see before, and you recognize where something is a little off or not proportionate. So I'm just shaping these little ears. I'm doing them opposite. The little ears come together at the bottom. They're kind of pointy at the tips. And looking at my picture, I just want to put it on there. If you have too much fiber at the bottom, you can pull that off. But you want to leave a little bit to felt into your project. That's why I haven't put more on the face just yet, because that's all going to be incorporated once we get the ears. The ears kind of help you see where all the other features need to go as well. Get that nice and tacked on. And we're going to have more fiber coming on that later as we work on the head, but we just want to get them nice and positioned. We don't want him losing any ears while we're working on him. little sparkle in my fur there. There's lots of sparkle everywhere in my workspace. My spirit animals all have Angelina fibers in them, so everywhere I go, I leave a little sparkle behind. So here I am making the jaw, the lower jaw, and their little jaws kind of go underneath. They're not even with the top part of the jaw. They kind of end right at the nose. And I know that I'm going to extend the front part of the face, so I'm going to put this pretty much flush with where it is now, because I know I'm going to build that out a little bit. Now keep in mind, you're working in a very small area, so mind your fingers. You'll only get yourself a couple of times before you learn not to do that. Okay, here I'm making him a little muzzle, and there's a few different ways you can do this, so I'm just doing it just to see if it works. If it doesn't work, I can rip it off and try something else. But I'm just thinking about how I want it to look. I want it to have a little bit of thickness, but not too much. I left myself a little bit of fiber hanging off so I can incorporate it. It's really easy for your heads to get out of control and out of proportion and way too big. So I'm always keeping that in mind as I add pieces. It's easier to add more than it is to have too thick of a piece and then have to find a way to rework it, or even sometimes have to do a little surgery and cut some things off. I like to avoid that if possible. I've done enough giant heads to have learned that lesson, so just a little advice. So we're going to add the nose now. And these little guys' noses are quite big. They're almost bulbous, they're so big. Goofy looking. So if you were doing a larger sculpture, you could really have a lot of fun making all of the nostrils and the poofiness of the nose, but on these little guys, it's more of an interpretation and giving that sense of the kind of oversized nose and getting the shapes of it. It always seems that one side looks better than the other, and as I go through, I try to check each side and make sure it's kind of coming along somewhat similar. And then at the end, then I really try to make it look the same, but I'm not sure it ever looks quite exact. So you just have to kind of get it to your satisfaction. And that's why I have the sculpture set for a few days. Once I feel like it's finished, it's kind of like preliminary finished, because inevitably I'll see something that one cheek is too puffy, or one eye is too much round than the other, or something like that. Something that when you're doing it, when you're really in the thick of it, you don't quite see, because you're so used to staring at it. So that would be my advice as well, is if you are doing a project, don't be in such a rush to declare it finished, because really it will tell you when it's finished, when you're satisfied with it, that you've done your very best for the skill level that you're at. So just built up his jawline a little bit more, added some fiber over the top to cover those seams. And I do see that one side, the eye seems to be bigger and wider than the other side, and so I'm going to work on that as we go, but there's still quite a bit to be done on the eye still, so as long as everything, all the bone structure and the facial structures line up good, then we can always tweak the eyes toward the end. You see, I'm trying to make them a little bit more in proportion. So make sure you look at your sculpture from all angles as you go. And don't get discouraged, because you're not going to get it right the first time, or the second time even, maybe not even the 10th time. But each time you have a go at it, it's going to get better and better, and easier to put what you see in front of you, or what you have in your mind, bring it into reality. I know there's nothing more frustrating than having in mind something that you want to create, and then when you do it, it doesn't look like what you imagined. But that is just the process of creation. And I don't know that any artist is ever 100% satisfied with their work. Even the most wonderful, detailed artists always can find flaws that you might not see. The main thing is to have fun with it, and to enjoy the act of creation, to enjoy your creation after it's made, to revel in the enjoyment that others get from your gifts, from your talents, and from the time that you spent and the love that you put into it. And that's why I love handmade things so much. So I'm building up his forehead a little bit more. I've added some of the darker, the buck color. And I put it up his forehead, and then I folded it over back down. And that just gives that thickness, because if you look at the pictures, their head has kind of a roundness to the top of it. And so I'm just accentuating that, and I may need to go back and accentuate it more. We'll have to see toward the end if it needs a little bit more, but we're building up little by little. He's starting to look so cute. I think when you put the ears on, it really brings out that cuteness. Put a little more fiber on there, tucking it around the horns. We're almost to the point here where we could go ahead and put some glue on those horns. I don't know if I will film that or not because it's really the same process as what we did to the hooves. If this was a larger sculpture, I would probably put fiber on the horns, and if you look at the pictures, you can see their horns have a little bit of a spiral texture to them. But on something this small, it's really not going to be of benefit or noticed that much to try to put that detail in. So I think I'm going to leave the tape, but we shall see on that. If I add any fiber to the horns, it will be the darker color. All right, he's getting there. We're in the home stretch now. Thanks for watching. Until next time.